BuzzFeed, HuffPost are going broke. Yippee! Actually, it's not far from the truth, but let's jump into it. BuzzFeed, HuffPost, latest to suffer layoffs in faltering the digital news economy. I wonder why BuzzFeed, because such a reputable company, is having a problem selling subscriptions or having a problem getting traction or getting clicks on their website. I wonder why. Let's jump into it. BuzzFeed, the proprietor of both serious... Really? Really? Chicago Tribune? You're going to say that? Okay, let's go with that. BuzzFeed, the proprietor of both serious news and viral lists and quizzes, will lay off about 15% of its staff in the latest sign of financial turbulence for one of high-flying digital media outlets. I wonder why BuzzFeed is having a problem with keeping their head above water. I wonder why BuzzFeed needs to lay off staff. Might have been something that might have, happened over the past week that might be a growing trend amongst the left-wing media, but hey, let's jump into it still. People at New York-based publishers said the cuts were about affecting 215 employees spread across all departments, including BuzzFeed News, the site that published a disputed report last week about President Donald Trump and his former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. Now look, do I think that this latest layoff has anything to do with the Michael Cohen report? Not specifically. I think it's more a fact of it's a symptom of their reporting. Their reporting at the moment is very much, even if we can't verify it, run the story, get it out there, be the first to go through and to get it out, get those clicks, get those views, and worry about it later. And I think that this has damaged the brand of BuzzFeed more than it already was. I don't think people are going to these left-wing media sites anymore because a lot of them are fake. Why would you go to BuzzFeed to get your news when you can jump online and you can check out Mark Dice or InfoWars or Tim Pool or Luke Vidosky or me, for example? Media pundits, quote, for lack of a better word, who... Yeah, look, obviously I'm not saying it's just the left, right? Yeah, InfoWars goes through and they're biased. Of course they are. They're right-wing. But at the end of the day, I don't think InfoWars has deliberately, especially in the past 12 to 18 months, put out a lot of fake news. And if they do, they retract it fairly honestly. And they do admit they get it wrong. They're pretty upfront and honest about it. You mightn't like their slant on things. You mightn't like their take on things. But the facts of the story generally are pretty honest. Now, obviously, what they cover, what they don't cover, they might omit some reports because it doesn't go with their narrative. That's obviously that's bias. But when you have BuzzFeed News, for example, and I can't believe I'm saying this in one word, like BuzzFeed and news at the same... Anyway. But if you get people like BuzzFeed News, CNN and whatnot, and you go through and they deliberately fabricate things. I've never seen InfoWars go through and literally doctor a video just to prove a point or just to prove a narrative, for example. CNN went through and they zoomed in on Trump feeding the koi fish, right? The carp, the koi fish, whatever it is over in Japan. I've never seen InfoWars do that. Regardless of how much you like or hate InfoWars, I've never seen them zoom in on a video to try and cut someone out of a scene, for example. Or, BuzzFeed, for example. Look, I'm not saying BuzzFeed was complicit in this fake news with this Cohen report. But at the end of the day, they were the ones that ran the story. They were the ones that jumped the gun. And even after the story was found to be false, even after Mueller confirmed the story was shit and was a load of crap, their response, instead of going through and issuing a retraction, was to double down. I suppose you've already shot yourself in the foot maybe you keep pointing the barrel of the gun through your foot, you might come out the other end or so. I don't know what their plan was. But, like, for example, yeah, sure, we've had to retract 3 stories now over the past 2 years. I know, it's a whopping of 3. I know, total woof. Anyway, and all 3 times I've demonetized the video, I've put up fake news or whatever over the image, I've clearly marked it as false. I've changed the title, I've put the image, I've changed the thumbnail image, everything like that. And normally I'll go through, unless it's like a really busy news day and I'm already having to scrap articles, I will go through and I will actually talk about it and try and correct the record as well. That to me doesn't really do a lot. That's more for saying, you know, look, I've done this for sort of thing. It doesn't really do a lot because the people aren't going to see it. The people will still see the fake reports. So I'm trying to figure out some way of, I don't know, editing it or putting up a card or something, or putting up putting up like text over the screen saying that this report. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out something to do regarding that. But regardless, but let's keep going anyway. But the people at New York-based publisher said the cutoffs and layoffs of about 215 people employed across departments, including BuzzFeed and the site that published the report last week. I've already said that. The workforce cutbacks, according to the people at the company, have been in the works for months and is unrelated to the Cohen article, which reported that Trump had coached Cohen to lie to Congress about proposed construction project in Moscow. Yeah, I don't think it was actually related to that report. I think that report is a symptom of their reporting, which is what this is. This is not just about that one report. This is about their failure to be able to go through and to check things out. Traditional media organizations such as newspaper and TV stations have been buffeted, I don't know what that word is, for years by their transition to digital economy, with some of their readers and advertisers being chipioned away by the likes of BuzzFeed, Vice, and HuffPost. But over the past several months, digital companies have faced some of the same issues, as profits have proven elusive in the advertising market dominated by 2 giants, Google and Facebook. Vice has instituted a hiring freeze and is seeking to cut its workforce by about 10 to 15% this year, primarily through attrition. Verizon Media Group, the owner of Huffington Post, AOL, and Yahoo, announced its own round of layoffs at about 7% on Wednesday. Other digital news outlets such as Refinery29, Vox Media, and Mike have been pitched to. Vox, the Washington-based publisher of Vox, SB Nation, and other sites, cut about 50 staff early last year. Refinery29, which is aimed at millennial women, dropped about 10% of its staff, or about 40 people in October. Mike is another site aimed at the millennials, laid off an entire editorial staff in November. Its name and other assets were acquired by a competitor, Bustle Digital Group. Journalists, traditional media outlets continue to be pink-slipped to. Gunlet Co., based in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, trimmed newsroom jobs at several of its newspapers on Wednesday. Among those let go at Gardner's Arise Public was cartoonist Steve Benson, who won a Pulitzer Prize in 1993 and was a finalist for the award 4 other times. BuzzFeed, which co-founded in 2006 by its current chief executive, Jonah Peretti, has evolved from a variety of fluffy but popular content into a digital news star. Under editor Ben Smith, a former journalist at Politico, it has developed a formidable newsroom. Really? You're going to go there? But okay, whatever. Obviously, this is left-wing media reporting on left-wing, so it's going to be, favourable. Its own series of assassinations on Russia opposed to Russian President Vladimir was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize last year. One of the co-writers that series, Jack Leopold, was a co-author on the Trump-Cohen story that was disputed by the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller III last week. And I believe Jason Leopold has been in trouble before for fake stories or fake news. But, hey, But the private held company had been unable to turn a profit despite generating about $300 million in revenue last year, a 15% increase over 2017. The layoffs reflect challenges in our industry, said one person briefed on the BuzzFeed's plan, but also an effort to bring the company's cost in line with its various divisions, including news, documentary videos, productions, and licensing. The company produces videos for Netflix, Oxygen, and others. BuzzFeed had an earlier round of layoffs in 2017, amounting to about 7% of the company when its revenue fell short of projections, scotching plans for public stock offering. Okay, so I think that there's two stories here and they're trying to conflate them together. Old guard media, like for example newspaper and TV and stuff, yeah, they're failing because of YouTube and stuff like that. People like me, for example, or Mark Dice, or whoever it may be, who can basically give you the news within an hour's notice. I go through and do about all 3 or 4 of my videos, and I can get them done roughly between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that's about 3 or 4 news stories. So at the end of the day, yeah, obviously there's more time involved in that for like research and stuff, but that's to do with recordings. But yeah, like for example, people like me, Mark Dice, Tim Pool, Luke Wadowski, Phil DeFranco, for a certain point. Yeah, anybody that's on YouTube that does news basically can get the news out there faster than these mainstream media. And we have a tendency to be a little bit more honest depending on who you talk about and whatnot. But yeah. Luke Wadowski from We Are Change is really, really good. Really, really good, guys. I really like his content. Tim Pool, I love his content too. Phil DeFranco, Philly D, take a D. But yeah, like I say, yeah, look, at the end of the day, those two, Tim Pool and Luke Wadowski, if you're not subbed to them, guys, go check them out. So yeah, I think our old guard media is sort of battling the new guard in a way, and a lot of us YouTubers, or especially other big YouTubers, like for example Mark Dice, who gets 1 million views per video, for example, or over 1 million views a video, they obviously can go through and they are losing to us. So I think that's one side of the coin. There's BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, all these MIC, all these guys. I think they're losing subscribers, they're losing income and stuff like that, and they're having to lay stuff off because people don't believe them anymore. You know, these guys were really, really popular when before, you know, we sort of debunked the pay gap and the pink tax and everything like that. And they ran all these sort of controversial stories about, you know, the pink tax. And now that we've debunked a lot of that narrative and people don't believe it anymore, people don't really go to BuzzFeed as much. Well, that would be my impression anyway. I never went to BuzzFeed originally, but I sure as shit wouldn't go there now. Just because of the fact that they've put out so much fake news and so much lies. And to me, that in itself is discrediting. It really does discredit the news organisation. So that's what I think this is more about. I think this is more about them being discredited, having issues, and basically, yeah, that's what I reckon it is. Things like this Cohen report, it really doesn't help the situation. I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts are in the comment section below. Why do you think BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, MIC, and all these sort of guys are having to lay off staff? Do you think that this is also happening in the right as well? I don't hear about it happening, but I could be, maybe, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.